Hi, I'm coffbeanie. If you're seeing this, you might be here from my Instagram, Tumblr, or TikTok. If that's you, then thank you for watching. If you're just here from YouTube, then you should check out my other socials. So this is just another self-indulgent type video, no real purpose, just a chance for me to cry about one of my favorite characters. And today's victim is the penguin. I don't know how to explain this without just saying it bluntly, but I'm actually the penguin. I am Oswald Cobblepot. Not only am I him, but he is me. We are one and the same. I know I just made these cute little sprites, but whenever you picture me, I just want you to picture the penguin. Anyways, I can't tell you why I like him so much. I just relate to him probably a bit more than I'd like to admit. I was first introduced to him with the 1966 show. That was my introduction to all things Batman. And I don't know, I like Burgess Meredith. I thought he was cool. I always liked the theme they played for him. I thought it was funky. And yeah, they always stuck him with his shtick of the umbrellas. I just thought he was silly. I also saw him in the Tim Burton movies when he was played by Danny DeVito, and I do not remember the first time I saw it, because I gotta be honest, all I remember is that movie scared me. I don't know why. The scene with Selena Kyle and the cats, it just kind of traumatized me. I could never watch the movie alone. It just terrified me. I then saw him in Batman the Animated Series. I had a few episodes on DVD when I was little, and I really liked I've Got Batman in My Basement, because what kid doesn't want to come to Batman's aid? But apparently, I don't know, apparently that episode isn't really well liked, and kind of looking back on it, I can see why. But I always liked the episode, also because the penguin was in it. I always liked how he looked. He's roundly shaped, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I would have liked him in The Batman more if that one episode with the ventriloquist didn't traumatize me, which swore me off the show for a bit, but I don't know, the fact that he was ginger kind of threw me off. The show that really got me looking at Penguin was Gotham. I know the show is kind of meh at points. It has its good, it has its bad, it has issues in its writing, both just in general as a narrative and in trying to adapt the source material, but it gave the Penguin the spotlight, and I really liked what they did with him, and I'm gonna go more in depth into my favorite penguins in a bit, but all you gotta know is that I really like Gotham's Penguin. As for Colin Farrell's Penguin, I really liked him, and I'm very excited for the Penguin show. My man is gonna be the star of his own series, and I'm so proud. My hopes are really high. I feel like everyone's really excited for the show, and I'm personally choosing to be optimistic. I think it's gonna be really good. I really like the Penguin in Joker's Asylum. I feel like that's a very basic option, and I honestly don't know what popular opinion on that series or that interpretation of the Penguin is, so I don't know, people could be mad at me for liking just a not well liked characterization of him, but I don't know, I like that he's just a guy, and I liked how based on the ending and in his backstory, Oswald is scummy. He sucks. He is not a good person, but he's also just very insecure man. He is greatly paranoid and insecure and emotional, which causes him to do things like kill people without a second thought, and it gives him motivation for wanting to have power, because if he can't be loved or respected, then he can be feared. Also, that series deals a lot with Oswald in relation to romance, but I'll get into that in a bit. Just give me a second. I like my Oswald as someone who fronts as a rich businessman who takes advantage of Gotham's corruption to rise in power so he can make money and do things like go into politics and become mayor while working with gangs and mob families behind the scenes. I like him to have money, to have power, but because of his appearance, things like respect are just out of reach. He knows the rich of Gotham will tolerate him, but he also knows that they talk crap about him behind his back. But he still wants to be accepted deep down. No matter how much he tells himself that he doesn't care, he keeps going. He's so desperate that he'll easily take fear as a replacement for respect. He wants to come across as cold and hard and calculating, yet he is still ultimately driven by his heart, because no amount of money and power will make up for the fact that he just wants love. Love Batman the Animated Series episode Birds of a Feather. Every time I watch it, it breaks my heart. But I love you, Oswald. Birds of a Feather Oswald is my Oswald, and I love him dearly. I think that's why I liked him in Gotham so much. Oswald was like the Batman villain given the most spotlight, next to Selina, but they immediately got her involved in Bruce's storyline just to set up their future relationship. But Oswald got a lot of time to kind of shine by himself, seeing himself play both the Falcone and the Maroney families for his own gain. It was a lot of fun. It was also fun to see him fumble around, make some mistakes, because he's not entirely confident in the scene, but because of how he makes mistakes, because of how he learns, we kind of see how he was able to end up so powerful in the first place. But they also went into his heart, how he loves and how that affects him. Obviously, we see that he's a bit of a mama's boy. He gets her things. He's so excited to show her his club, and he just has so much love for her. The fact that Gotham made him second generation, that is just so important to me. This is low-key very much relevant. I just had to say that it's so important to me. I don't know why, I just love that so much. Rip the fact that he's second generation from my cold, dead hands. But, then she died and he was heartbroken. And then Ed came along, and that's just a whole other mess. Personally, I liked him with Ed. I thought they were cute. I was rooting for them. And I know sometimes DC Comics will take bits from their various adaptations and put them in the comics. And I'll admit, deep down, I knew it wasn't going to happen. But I wanted Ed and Oswald together in the comics. But, sadly, we haven't seen anything. I don't think. But, I'm still waiting, DC. I'll never forget DC. But his relationship with Ed, I feel like, reflects what I like in a penguin. He tries to move on, obviously so. Ed tortured him, both physically and mentally. Pretty sure he desecrated his father's grave and then he shot him. I think that would turn anyone off when looking for a potential partner, but he still cares for Ed. Before he liked Ed, they were friends, they were partners, and I think at the end of the show, he still did love Ed, because no matter how hard he tried to stop himself from loving Ed, he couldn't, because he just wanted to be loved. And I'll admit, this is kind of some self-projection, but I think, how I said that I kind of like it when Oswald is a little bit insecure, or at least that's kind of how I just think is an important part of his character, as someone who is insecure and has had struggles in relationships, both just with other people, with friends, or potentially romantic prospects. I'm kind of scared of letting go of those past feelings or relationships, just because as someone who is insecure, I feel like I'll never be able to get that in someone else, and so I'm just kind of scared to move on. And I feel like maybe that's the mindset Penguin has in still loving Ed. I don't know, I'm just rambling here. This is just me self-projecting. As much as I loved Robin Lord Taylor's depiction, I think my biggest issue with Gotham's Penguin is that he is too pretty. I think Penguin has got to be a little ugly. At least a little, if not a lot, at least unconventionally attractive. I think that's an important part. And while I'm a big fan of Danny DeVito's Penguin and how he looks physically, I don't like how they characterized him, leaning more on sexual aspects. He's a creep, he's a pervert. I think it's better when they lean into the more romantic aspect of his character instead of just making him weird. That being said, He most definitely, like I said, he most definitely looks the part. I feel like he's the standard for Penguin, what he should look like, his physical appearance, at least like facially and body type wise. I will admit that is my one problem with Colin Farrell's Penguin. I know I said I was really excited for the show, but my one issue is that I do think he is too tall. I feel like Penguin kinda has to be short because a part of him also has to be that, like, physically he doesn't look that, like, imposing, I guess, in the right word. He doesn't look like a threat physically versus like Colin Farrell standing at 5'10", and because they also made him look kind of like built in an attempt to make him look chubby, like, personally, just based on his stature, he's kind of scary. So I don't know, but that's just it. I feel that's another thing. I feel like Penguin has to be short. Gotta make him short. But just going back to my previous point, I feel like he very much has to be unconventionally attractive just because it leads into him not being accepted into high society, not getting that respect, especially since being in that crowd is all about appearances, and he obviously doesn't have the best appearance. That's also why I said I didn't like how they made Batman Returns Penguin a creep. Obviously, Oswald is a bad guy. He's corrupt. He kills people. He does crime. He ruins people's lives. But he is not a creep. To juxtapose his less than conventional appearance, I believe he is still a gentleman. He has manners. He's respectful. A good Oswald respects women, I think, because that's how his mama raised him. The final piece should be right now, right here, on screen, there in all its glory. There it goes, look at it. So that's just my rant. I just wanted to cry about Penguin. I also would have talked about the ongoing Penguin series if it weren't for the fact that I hadn't hit the comic book store in a few months, and I'm missing like the 3rd issue, so once I get it, I'll catch up and reread it. But from what I remember, I liked it. I was confused, but so far I was liking it, and I think other people are liking it too, so I think it's going pretty well. So if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. If you're still here, I don't know, please just comment like your favorite comic book villain, either like a Batman villain or just like in comic book media in general. And please like and subscribe and all the other YouTube things, and check out my other socials. Alright, thank you, bye bye.